I just watched a video of Young Thug explaining exactly how he treats his producers, and the video kind of pissed me off. Because what are we doing? The business between rappers and producers could be so simple. Matter of fact, I don't even want to talk about it. Let's just watch the video.
How do the splits really work in the rap game?
I would tell you the splits because you don't know math. You said two questions.
Oh, my bad.
You do 50-50 splits.
Okay.
So you get paid for your part, I get paid for my part.
Okay.
You get 100% of your part, which is 50% of the song.
True.
I get 100% of my part, which is 50% of the song. The producer get 50%.
Yeah.
Or we're really 100% because it's wholeheartedly his beat.
Why did you want to bring this to our attention?
Because it's the most obvious shit ever.
What do you mean?
And this is Young Thug that we're talking about. This is the most obvious shit ever. Why is it so hard to have these conversations? Because you have these, look, and granted, yeah, we're talking about the underlying composition copyright. We're not talking about sound recording. We're talking about the publishers and writers share, the part that pays out mechanical and performance royalties, among others. But Young Thug is a major label artist. He is successful. He's rich. Which means on the master side, the label probably owns it all and gives him 20% or less on that side of the copyright coin. If you're an unsigned artist, you control everything. You control 100% of everything, right? These conversations where people are negotiating and splitting hairs and, no, I don't, why does the producer get 50%? And no, I don't think this comes from unsigned artists. This doesn't come from people like Young Thug who have less to provide in terms of overall ownership of their catalogs.
Wait. Hold on. Back up. So, are you assuming this person was arguing? We didn't have any context. He just kind of came in.
No, I'm talking about my life and the producer's life. When we get into an argument with an artist about splits, we are not getting into an argument with a major label artist. We're getting into an argument with someone who has 10,000 monthly listeners, who isn't signed, who owns everything and has therefore more leeway to create fairer split situations. I get that all the time. An unsigned artist who I don't know will email me and say, hey, I want to buy this beat, but I want to do a buyout. And here's Young Thug, this random kid's asking him, how do splits break down? And Young Thug's looking at him and without stuttering saying, as the producer, you get 100% of your portion and I keep 100% of my portion. How is it this hard?
Was there a situation that I know it happens, but
yeah, we cover it all the time, every day of my life. Every producer who's watching this is probably feeling the same way as me, where it's like, why isn't it just that easy? And even among producers too. I know we covered a lot of stories where there's a conflict among collaborators and this person used this loop and this person did drums and blah, 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 and they're fighting over splits. Why is it so hard to just do what Young Thug does and break things down evenly? Why is it this hard? The reason I like this clip is because I'm just sitting there like, yeah.
Well, it's never, again, we probably should have presented a scenario where there was some confusion and then showed, Young Thug just kind of saying, hey, it's this, because I've never had this issue. Like,
I guess this person is an engineer and they call their studio Slave Studios, which I think is fitting based on what they're about to say. They say, this is the first thing I discuss with people before I even power up the mixing desk. That's how a boss talks. You want to buy or you want to co-op? Now, these are terms that this person just made up because you can buy a non-exclusive license and a co-op. I don't know. I think of like the place that my parents bought granola in the 80s. Those are two very different deals. I do think this is the part that I want to focus on. I do think asking for a price on the beat and a split is just greedy bullshit. So in other words, you don't know how the music business works at all.
Wait, hold on, Peyton. Is this even a person? The username is like the ended with hella.
Why is their name Slave?
I've never worked on a song with an artist where we've deviated from, the producer getting 50% and the writers of the lyrics getting 50%. The only, it gets a little different when there's multiple writers. Somebody did the hook, somebody, how much is a hook worth? Is the hook worth 20 and then 30 for the verses? And then you break it up 10, 10, 10 for if there's three artists. Like, I've never had an issue though. Like, nobody's ever complained. We've always been able to come to a healthy resolution. So I know that sometimes this is a battle, but I only know from like for what people tell me. It's never really been a battle.
Yeah, well, if you started, thank you. I'm recording right now. I know you don't care. I'm thrown off. If you managed, actually, if you manage producers, you'd be dealing probably primarily with label situations, and so the label's just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we don't deal with publishing even splits as long as they get the sound recorded, which is again why this could just be so simple, because the whole the sound recording copyright conversation's off the table when you're dealing with a major label artist, because the label controls that. But the other side, why is that so difficult?
I've never even seen it be difficult with any, like you must be talking about artists that are like just inexperienced or just don't have any traction, because like even the artists, all the artists that I've seen that, you know, I've been in the game for a minute, actually are full-time artists. I've never seen anybody push back on that. So again, I'm only hearing that it happens because people like you tell me, but like,
no, we've covered plenty of these conversations, especially when the artist claims that producers are getting paid twice. They're like, well, if I pay for the lease, you don't get anything on the back end. It's one or the other. And we got to negotiate the back end. And it's like, no, the fuck we don't. We've covered these stories plenty of times. So we know
but only
that's
because you bring them. Because again,
because you're not in the producer trenches, Dame. If you right now started making beats at full time, you would know what I was talking about. Here's an email I received last year. Someone reaches out via the BeatStars Pro page contact form. I'd like to purchase the exclusive license buyout agreement, 100% of everything for an instrumental. I have a producer work for hire agreement that I would need to review. What's the budget? I told him $3 million for a buyout, because this is how to end a conversation with somebody that's trying to take everything from you. Never replied. I wasn't surprised. Here's a whole conversation on Twitter. As an artist, why is it so difficult to add your producer to the splits? Reasonable question. I feel like this person is notorious for saying anti-producer stuff online. Why is it so hard for producers to stop being such vampires over artists using their beats? You as the producer getting paid $50 a beat is making more money off the one song than 90, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then who cares? If you're not making money off the splits, why are you upset about the splits? This doesn't make sense. This makes zero sense. Got this comment on YouTube the other day from a very special guy. Just sell the freaking beat outright. Producers wants a piece of everything. I do. This was a tiny muffin and I ate, as you can see, I wants a piece of everything. The last part, stop trying to get yours off someone's vibe. So if someone makes a song to your beat and you ask for equity, I can't with these fucking idiots. I can't do it. The point is, this is a reality that producers face when we're dealing with artists who realistically have 100% control over their own intellectual property. They can do splits however they want. There's no label in their pockets. There's no publishing deal. There's no co-publishing deal. There's no publisher taking money out of their pockets. They can do whatever they want. So why do they choose to fight with the producers that create the beats, that inspire their songs, without whom they wouldn't have songs? It's so simple to work out a situation where it's fair to everybody. Yeah, okay, cool. You're struggling. I understand that. Don't cut me in on anything except the underlying composition, because we're co-writers, until you've recouped that $50 or whatever you spent on the beat. I'm 100% fine with that. Everyone should be fine with that. That's fair. But let's have the conversation rather than you getting frustrated because you're not making money yet and turning around and treating us as though somehow we don't have any sort of claim to something we created, and then turning around and acting like the labels are evil when the labels don't even treat us like this. We can do better. If Young Thug, we need to put this on a shirt. If Young Thug is treating producers better than you are, then this is a problem with the way you do business. But producers don't get discouraged because, as Young Thug once said, horses don't stop, they keep going. So we got to keep going. You ran your business very differently, where you manage producers and artists. And from your perspective, I think you don't understand why anyone would want to do anything but fair, even splits, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's all I've ever seen, because I've only worked with artists that have I've only worked with artists that have been a little bit more established, or artists that were, because obviously, the guys would do features for artists all the time, and like it was either artists that are already like moving and full-time artists, or artists that were open to being educated. I've never had like issue. Not to say it doesn't happen, because obviously it does. You deal with it quite frequently, but let's get to the next, unless there's something else to kind of.
All I'm saying is this. So, like you said, when you've worked with artists who are established major label artists, and then as we've seen with Young Thug, and I'm going to tell you flat out, anytime I've dealt with any sort of artist that's signed to a major label, I've never, ever, ever been in a position to defend my splits on the underlying composition side. Never. But it's only when someone sends me an email, I just paid $30 for this beat lease. I assume I get 100% of everything. Well, no. Okay, well, why are you getting... That's the only time. It's only with the artists that aren't yet established. So is it ignorance? Is it greed? Is it something else? But why, when you're at that... And it's not everybody. It's just when it happens, it's a really frustrating situation, because you are fighting with somebody over a split of something that isn't paying anybody anything yet at that point. You see what I'm saying? Like you said, why is it people who aren't established that are fighting so hard to preserve a portion of ownership when they have all the control in the world over how they do their business, and they still choose to fight with their collaborators over equity? Doesn't make any type of sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we probably just should have queued it up with like a situation where there was a problem, so we could.
I'll do that in post. I'll edit. I'll post it to my channel, because I have a bunch of stuff like that on my channel.